everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It is 3:42 in the morning. We just got done with a 6.5 hour auction, and I went, crap, I have to have a video together. You know what it is. It's Monday, so I gotta talk about the books that I loved from last week's New Comic Book Day, that if you missed out, you should pick up on this week's New Comic Book Day. And to see exactly what books make the list, you'll have to check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Before we talk about my picks of the week, I do have a little bit of special news that's weird for me to kind of ask about and talk about, but I'm going to give it a shot ski. So, my journey in this almost first full year on YouTube has been a wild and amazing road in terms of the people I've gotten to meet, the things I've gotten to do, the types of creators I've gotten to interview, and the folks in the community that I've gotten to know far, far better than people I associate with, you know, on a daily basis at work or people who physically live near me. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is find different ways that I can support elements of the community all over the place financially, giving, you know, bumps, supporting auctions, buying mystery boxes from people and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I've kind of looked at as I've been, you know, looking at how much I want to put in terms of growing the channel financially, I'm going to go down the same road that I've seen a lot of people go to. So today, very briefly, I'm going to talk about the fact that Comic Book Poser is selling out and has created a Patreon. So I'm just going to talk through this real quickly, but this is going to go live. But I've created a couple of levels, that way if there are some of you who want to throw some financial support in the direction of the channel, I would appreciate it. One of the things that I am going to do in terms of funds that come into the channel, the first thing that I know I need is a DSLR camera, just something that's better than the cheap piece of crap webcam that I have. So the first thing that I would use any Patreon funds for would be that. But then literally everything else is going to be turned back around in the direction of the community. And I'm not talking the kinds of things that you see in terms of the Patreon benefits. You know, stepping up my AOK game, using some of those things to, some of the Patreon funds to purchase mystery boxes and stuff like that from the community, instead of, you know, some kind of corporate group or, you know, some kind of small business. That any of that kind of stuff will still come out of my pocket, but helping feature some community mystery boxes, both on the comic or the pop side, those kinds of things. And then one of the things that I've liked in terms of getting to know the folks over at Slapshot Pops a little bit better, or Average Will, is once their Patreons have grown to a big enough size, they've started picking a charity to make donations to out of their Patreon funds. And then once I kind of grow and get over the one technological hurdle that I know I need some extra funding for, those are the kinds of things that I want to do, is use anything that you all help to support me on the front end to go back to the community inside and outside of the YouTube, Instagram, you know, world that we all live and operate in. But like I said, I'm not going to judge you if you don't offer any kind of financial support. There are channels out there that, you know, I've supported at times, that I, you know, support all the time. And it's just, if I've got money in a given moment to do it, I will. And that's taken way too much time, and I'm going to edit it down. Because you're not here to listen to me talk about shmoney. You're here to listen to me talk about books. We've got 2 quick honorable mentions this week before we get our top 5. First honorable mention is Peach Momoko's X-Men Demon Days. I really liked this book from an artistic perspective. That, you know, everybody's been love-hate Peach Momoko based on the fact that she does a cajillion covers. But her interior artwork is just dope. That this is an establishment of It's, you know, X-Men in its own independent universe, and this just feels like I'm reading like old school, like ancient Japanese art scrolls that kind of tell the story of characters that you may be guessing who they are in this new version of the universe. And I was kind of skeptical at the beginning of the week, picked it up, loved it. The other shout out goes to the Avengers number 43. This is the penultimate book in the Enter the Phoenix saga. We will find out if there is a new Phoenix and who it is and what extent they are willing to go to take on that power. But that book has been a very, very enjoyable read. Coming in at number 5 from Dark Horse Comics is Dead Dog's Bite number 1. And this is all done by Tyler Boss. With a variant cover that I haven't seen. It's done by Ian Bertram. So this book is interesting because we're learning about like a murder or like odd random things happening, and you get, you know, 18 panels across the first 2 pages, and it's this dude who pops out of the sewer and just kind of narrates his way through everything. But it's about stuff that's going on in the town of Pender Mills, and everything is kind of focusing on this woman and conversations that she's having with people, things that she may or may not be learning. There's kind of the tie of a missing person that you can't figure out, and looking at it, if she really knows the person who's missing, if she's responsible. There's some weird shit with the citizens going on in the woods. Like, this book was, you know, all over the place in a very good sense of the phrase. And I can't wait to see what comes next from it. But I was a big fan of that one. Coming in at number 4 is Chariot number 1 from AWA Upshot. It's Brian Edward Hill as the writer, Priscilla Petrates, and Marco Lesko on colors. This book was a pleasant surprise to me that, you know, it's got like an 80s vibe, which, you know, I get into Dryfoot because I like Jared. I think he did a good setup of the world there, but some of these other things to me are just kind of weird connections. But this book is about, you know, this car that in the very beginning we meet a woman who's driving the car and it just kind of sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And then we meet this dude who's getting his ass kicked by, like, gangsters. And we learn that, you know, the Chariot, and I don't really feel like I'm spoiling anything, because you see signs of it throughout, is like Kit from Knight Rider with balls. So I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen across 5 issues of this book, in terms of a man who is down on his luck, has a sick kid, and a magic car shows up out of nowhere to save him. The art is really cool. I'm gonna love it from an art perspective, even if the story falls weird to me. Coming in at number 3 from Vault Comics is Resonant number 8. It's written by David Andre. The art is by Skylar Partridge. Jason Wordy is on colors, and Deron Bennett is on the letters. So this is a kind of coming together issue where we learn about the fate of the folks who were on the boat in the issue before in the rough seas. The father of the group who was on the island kind of comes to, and they discover this new place that I can't remember what it was called, because this was like the second or third book I read this week. But essentially it's this little enclave where there is no impact to the chirpers or the waves, right? That, like, you see him pick up and hold a chirper and he's like, ah, crap, it's about to go down. And then there's nothing that happens. The other thing that's going on is the children of the family and the brother's new wife go to get some supplies to prep for battle against the clergy. And then the rest of this book essentially becomes a description of what may be happening in that enclave where the chirpers have no effect. Really interesting. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the arc, so I'm excited to see, if they ever make it home, if there's a seedy underbelly to what's going on with this, the Light Tower, the Enclave, but pretty excited. Coming in at number 2 from Image Comics is Nocterra number 1. It's written by Scott Snyder with art by Tony S. Daniel and colors by Tomeu Mori. This book to me was just a wild ride, and I know that a hardcover came out on Patreon, or not on Patreon, that was kickstarted before this came out, and I know that Nick from Comic Burrito is one of the ones that picked it up, so I'm interested to know if the kickstarted version is different than what's going to come out monthly. But essentially, it's a question of what's going on in the world when everything went dark, right? Here we are at 13 p.m. The world is literally trapped in darkness, and we meet our main character, who essentially, it's her job to kind of ferry people through the darkness to keep them safe, and you find out that there are a bunch of fucking creepy sky dragons that are attacking people, and she gets hired to eventually help somebody get to a new place that they are claiming is safe from the big dark. But throughout the last 5 or 6 pages, it becomes a very legitimate question of whether or not they are as good as they seem. So I would highly recommend this. Again, you should check out my dudes from Comic Burrito. They got to interview Scott Snyder last week on Tuesday night, and it was fun to watch them talk about the book and then also geek out because they're all big Scott Snyder fans, and got to ask him questions about other stuff that he's written. Coming in at number 1 this week is going to be a pick that makes you all wonder if I've lost my mind. This is not a character you've ever really heard me talk about. This is not a book that I've really ever pulled before or gotten into, but I was intrigued by the hype train coming out of this, and it was something that I did not read a single book from. Also, it's a DC book, and you all know that DC books every now and then will eke their way into the list, but it's very rare to say that coming in at number 1 from DC Comics is the Swamp Thing number 1. This is the kickoff of the Infinite Frontier. It's written by Ram V. Mike Perkins is the artist, and Mike Spicer is the colorist, and then Aditya Bidkar is the letterer. So essentially this starts to set up the tale of the new man who becomes the Swamp Thing. There is a study of these, worms or these fleas in the desert that, become these new chrysalids that people are kind of studying. And then all of a sudden it focuses on the new character who we learn over time that is the Swamp Thing, that it's something that we don't know how recent it is, we don't know how public it is, we don't know how many people know the connection to him, but it's clearly something that is attacking him from the inside, right? That it's something that's giving him anxiety, it's something that's giving him nightmares, and it was just a very, very good and compelling read. This makes me want to pick up more things from Ram V. Those of you who read Future State books, because I did not, if I should go back and pick up the 2 Swamp Thing books, if you think that will help give some new clarity to this storyline, please either in the chat over here let me know, or if you watch this on the rewind in the comments down below let me know. But I really, really liked this book. That I've read some of the other things that Ram V has done, that I kind of dabble in and out of reading Justice League Dark, but it makes me want to read more Ram V stuff, right? This makes me want to get more invested in Swamp Thing as a character, even if all this Infinite Frontier stuff is a bunch of Elseworlds tales that don't really matter because continuity isn't a thing with DC anymore in the world of Infinite Frontier. I'm at least here for it. I'm interested to learn more about this new Swamp Thing, even if there's not a connection to the Swamp Thing in the broader universe. It makes me want to check out more of it, and I think that speaks to the talent that the creative team on this book has, is that they took somebody who does not really know much or care about it, someone who kind of actively stayed away from the preliminary event kind of setting up all of this Elseworld stuff, and made me go, crap, was I wrong in boycotting Future State? Boycotting, I don't know. taking a month off from DC or 2 months off. But let me know what you think. But I know I'm talking myself in a big circle because it's now 4 a.m. and I still have to edit this video and get it to upload. And I gotta be Dad of the Year tomorrow because my wife's gotta work. And I gotta make sure my kids survive and don't burn the house down or murder me before she gets home from work. And I have a floor full of comics from the auction that I gotta box up and ship. As is the life. So, hopefully you enjoyed my picks this week. If not, let me know what you think I got wrong, either down here in the description or over here in the chat. Let me know if there are other books you think that I should pick up. I have not looked to see what's on my pull list yet this week. That when I'm probably very exhausted at some point on Monday afternoon and go, oh crap, I have to film a pull list video. That's going to happen. And then I can play catch up because all the stuff that's popping up on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are things that I've just kind of filmed already. You know that. Other things that you can find me on this week. Thursday night at 8:30 Central, I'm interviewing Travis Gibb, who has a new Kickstarter up. It is for Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies, the 4th and final issue of that series. You've seen me tweet about it. I wrote about it on the blog. He's all over the place. I've talked to Travis a couple of times. He's been on the channel before when we talked about Cthulhu Invades Oz, but I'm excited to talk about Broke Down with him on Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Central. And then at 10 p.m. Central, I'll be on Hydra Comics' Indie Comic Show, which we're talking about Vampirella, which I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. That's a lot of books to buy if I find that I'm going to like it. So if I find some Vampirella on Hoopla, dope. If not, I told him I'm going to read the Wikipedia page and phone it in this week, or just ask why she's got to be so naked all the time. I don't know if I'm that prude, but maybe I am. And then auction on Sunday. That's it. I'm done rambling now. As always, y'all, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.